welcome to Cooking with Cadman. So today we're going to practice our knife skills again. We're going to make Cajun dirty rice, which is a really tasty dish, and we need to cut all the vegetables very small into a brunoise. So the first thing we need to do is to get the rice on to start that cooking. So into a saucepan, we need to make sure we've got the right size saucepan for the right size ring. I'm going to put the rice into there, and then I've boiled some water in the kettle, but you can just use the hot water from the tap because it will be boiling. And we're then going to just turn that on. I want to bring it to boil, and if you use the lid, it also helps it to cook a bit quicker. So that's going to take about 10 minutes. So we're going to set a timer for 10 minutes. Okay, so now we need to get all the vegetables prepared. You're going to need a bowl for waste, chef's knife. We're going to put a cloth under the chopping board to keep it still. If you haven't got one of these, then you can just use a tea towel, which will also support it. So for this portion size, we're just going to use half of the pepper. So all vegetables should also be washed prior to use for hygiene purposes. So you are then, we want a brunoise cut. So we're going to cut these, again rocking down, remember not to chop, into strips. Keep using the claw grip. And then once we've done it that direction, you are then going to turn them around the other way. And again, this rocking action rather than a chopping, less likely to cut your fingers if you do it this way, because the knife isn't raising enough to catch your fingers, and you're keeping your fingers back in the claw grip. And, you can use different colour peppers in this dish, which will make it slightly more attractive and a bit more colourful. So like before, we need to make this into a dice. So we chop and tail the carrots. Then using the claw, you're going to cut down the sides. So that gives you a flat edge. You then take in the edge off, roll it, edge off, roll it, edge off, and I'll just tidy this bit up there. We're then going to cut that into 2 strips. And again, so it's basically that rectangle has now gone into quarters. You can then bring them together. And like before, we can do the rocking action. Like so. Next we're going to dice an onion. If you've got the whole onion, remember you chop the end off to keep it flat, and then you cut the onion into half through the root, leaving the hairy end alone. Also helps you to peel back the skin, keeping the onion intact. Then using the claw, you are going to cut going down to the chopping board, but not going through the root at the end. Then we can go to bridge. And then if it's a very big onion, you can do one through the middle. And then rock in again to give you a small dice. There we go. That's the onion. And you always need to try and get everything the same size. Then we're going to go to mushrooms. These we are going to actually do in slices rather than diced. These will just add a bit more texture. Now you can change the ingredients that you're adding. This is just what we like in it. So there's all the ingredients all fully prepared. So once the rice is cooked, you need to carefully take it over to the drainer and with a sieve drain the rice, and then until we need it, you can just leave it in the pan on a hot stand, and you can just leave the lid on to help it steam a little bit. So we now need to get all the vegetables cooked. So you need to put some oil into the pan. I'm using sunflower oil, but you can use any kind of oil, vegetable oil, anything like that. And then I'm going to heat the oil up. So that is front right. You want it on about a 3 or 4. And add the vegetables into the frying pan once we can feel heat coming off. Instead of using the sharp part of the blade, if you use the back of the blade to scrape everything in. Stops the blade from going blunt. To that, we're going to add, we're using Quorn for the base purposes of this recipe, but you could do it with mince if you wanted to. So we're just trying to make it healthier with a bit of Quorn. And to that, I'm also going to add a dash of Worcestershire sauce and a teaspoon of Cajun Seasoning. And then also, because I've quartered this recipe, I will put the full recipe on the link to the YouTube channel, but I've quartered it for the purposes of class lessons. So I've got 50 mils of water in the jug, and I'm going to add a 1/4 of a beef cube into that, and then I'm just going to add that also to this. I'm going to turn it up a bit higher now, and then with a spatula I'm going to just stir this around till the onions are softened and the vegetables are softened a bit. Okay, so once the vegetables look like they've softened a little bit, you can then add in the drained rice. And all you need to do now is basically stir it around, coat the rice with the flavourings that are in here. You can have a little taste of it, and if you would rather it be a little bit spicier, you can add a little bit more of the Cajun seasoning. But that is a nice healthy dish and allows you to have a good go with your knife skills. So I'm just going to dish a bit up. Smells gorgeous. It's a shame there's not smell vision. And there you are. There's your dirty Cajun rice, but it's absolutely gorgeous. Thank you for watching Cooking with Cadman. Take care.